Did you hear anything about who found him, how he was found, or the 911 call or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah?
And I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here to get to the bottom of it, though, it sounds like.
We pretty much know what's going on, but, you know, all we want to do is just talk about the man, the musician.
What message do you have to Prince fans?
Just keep saying prayers for everyone, for the family.
So there was no sign of this. This is just...
You know, everyone gets sick once in a while. We don't know. We're going to find out.
First Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
Sheila E was the last person Prince ever truly opened up to. And now the streets are buzzing. People are saying she's finally coming clean about what Prince was really trying to protect us from. And guess what? Some are even claiming Diddy had a reason to make sure Prince never got the chance to say it out loud. Here's the deal. A lot of fans believe Prince was on the edge of revealing something way deeper than just music rights drama. We're talking about a twisted culture behind the scenes, manipulation, exploitation, and some real disturbing stuff tied to rituals in the entertainment world. And wouldn't you know it? Diddy's name keeps getting whispered in the same breath as all of that. Is it just coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. Because now, after keeping quiet for years, Sheila E is, according to multiple sources, breaking her silence. And what she's allegedly saying is giving people chills. They're claiming Sheila says Prince wasn't just being private. He was carrying a heavy secret, something dark, something the world just wasn't ready to hear. He tried to shield people from it, and it wore him down. Now, here's a little throwback for context. Sheila E. first met Prince in 1977 when she was performing at a concert with her dad. That's where the connection started. Then, in early 1984, she signed with Warner Brothers Records and started working on her debut solo album, The Glamorous Life. Prince was all over that project. He co-wrote it, produced it, and even played on the title track, which became a huge hit. That same year, Sheila E. joined Prince on the road as the opening act for his legendary Purple Rain tour in 1984 and 1985. These two weren't just collaborators, they were close. And now, it seems like Sheila might be ready to tell the world what Prince never got the chance to. Right after the Purple Rain tour wrapped up, Sheila E. made another major move. She signed with Prince's own label, Paisley Park Records. She wasn't just another artist on the roster either. She took the reins as the musical director for his Sign of the Times tour and his Love Sexy tour. And that's not all. Sheila was everywhere in Prince's world throughout the 80s, lending her voice, talent, and creative spark to tons of his tracks and albums. She even showed up in his legendary concert film Sign of the Times, rocked the stage with him at the Brit Awards, and years later, in 2007, she was right back touring with him again like no time had passed. But let's get into the part that still has fans whispering behind the scenes. Because the bond between Sheila E. and Prince went way beyond just music. See, there was something real and deep between them, something that couldn't be hidden on stage. During one unforgettable live show, Prince looked across the stage, locked eyes with her, and mouthed the words that had everybody stunned. "Marry me." No script, no setup, just raw emotion in the middle of a performance. And believe it or not, reports say they even got engaged for a short time after that moment. But despite the connection, the wedding never happened. Now, some stories claim Prince and Sheila E. hadn't spoken for about 5 years before he passed away in 2016, and they say the reason for that rift was her autobiography, The Beat of My Own Drum, where she opened up about their relationship. But what if that version of events isn't totally true? Because according to insiders who were close to them, Prince and Sheila actually reconnected before he died. And what he told her during that time was wild. Sources are claiming that Prince confided in her about the music industry's dark underbelly. And yes, he He allegedly dropped some shocking info about Diddy, too. All right, let's get into it. Prince never held back when it came to calling out the power players in the industry, the ones pulling strings, owning artists, and straight up silencing voices. He warned us time and time again about how deep it all went. And now folks are asking the question, was Diddy one of those people? From the way it's looking, yeah, he just might have been. See? Prince was always vocal about artists getting what they deserved. Fair pay, real creative control, and ownership of their own work. He wasn't about to let these labels pimp out his talent without a fight. Prince signed with Warner Music back in 1977 when he was just 18 years old, barely an adult, but already chasing a vision. Now, his early albums between 78 and 81 didn't exactly dominate the charts, but Warner kept him around. Why? Because even then, he had that rare magic, the kind of artist that made the label look good just by being on the roster. Warner seemed like a company that backed real musicians for the long haul, at least on the surface. Then came 1982. MTV had just launched the year before, and Prince was ready to level up. He dropped new music and finally cracked the US top 10. But more than that, he mastered the music video game. He wasn't just releasing songs. He was building a whole visual world, crafting a persona, and turning himself into an icon. Nobody was doing it like him. As he rose to the top, Prince didn't stop there. He launched his own label, Paisley Park Records. And while Warner funded it and handled distribution, Prince was trying to take back his power. But behind the scenes, he was already calling them out, exposing how the same label that claimed to support him was cutting corners and cashing in off his back. Yep, we're talking about that same Warner Brothers, the one that was backing Diddy heavy. Not only were they funding him, but they actually cut a deal that gave them a 50% stake in his Bad Boy Records label. That's a major grip of control. Under this deal, Warner handled everything: digital and physical distribution, marketing, and global release power for the entire Bad Boy catalog. The label's roster? Stacked. It included Maze, Mario Winans, the notorious B.I.G., and of course, Diddy himself. And Diddy wasn't shy about the deal either. When speaking on it, he said, "There have been a lot of boutique record labels that come and go, and we are still here. This is ensured for the next couple of years that we have the right financial backing, the right financial structure, the right partners to remain a force in the music industry." Basically, he knew the power he had, and he was ready to flex it. But here's where things start to sound real familiar. The same way Warner allegedly shortchanged Prince and boxed him in, Diddy was pulling those same moves with the artists under his own label. Let's talk about Lil Jerome for a second. When folks asked if he left Bad Boy on his own terms, Jerome kept it honest. He said it was a mixture of the growing pains and the pressure of the music business. But then he dropped the real tea. He had a full album locked and loaded with 13 songs ready to go. And then he had a breakdown. Just like that, the label cut him off. He didn't walk away. It wasn't his choice. They dropped him when he was vulnerable. And Diddy, he just kept it moving, like none of it mattered. Then you got Carl Thomas, another name tied to Bad Boy, who came with his own story. When his brother passed away, Diddy didn't even give him space to breathe. According to Carl, Diddy waited just 1 week before calling him up like, "Yo, when you coming back to the studio? I got some hits waiting for you." No empathy, no pause, just business as usual. So while Prince was out here fighting for freedom and respect, Diddy was out here doing to his artists the very thing Prince had been warning us about for years. Even while his artist was still grieving the death of his own brother, Diddy was already dialing back into business mode, rushing Carl Thomas back into the studio like nothing happened. But that's not the only cold move being talked about. Let's talk about Biggie. According to Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, Biggie had plans, real plans, to walk away from Bad Boy Records and lock in a better deal somewhere else. That's right, Biggie was ready to break free. But after his tragic death, something strange happened. Instead of mourning, Diddy reportedly shifted all his focus to sales, charts, and numbers. Sources say he was pressuring Bad Boy staff to push the album Life After Death like their lives depended on it. According to insiders, Diddy wasn't crying, he was obsessing. Number one, number one, number one. That's what he kept repeating. Top 10, top 10, top 10. It wasn't about honoring Biggie's legacy. It was about hitting the charts, controlling the narrative, and cashing in while the grief was still fresh. Now, fast forward to just before the lawsuits started coming down on Diddy. Out of nowhere, he announced he was giving back publishing rights to current and former Bad Boy artists. Sounds generous, right? But not everyone was buying it. Aubrey O'Day, for one, raised red flags. She said she'd received the contract terms months before the public even heard about this gift. And she wasn't alone. Multiple artists got those same calls. But here's the catch. The publishing rights came with strings attached. According to industry whispers, this wasn't about doing the right thing. It was about keeping people quiet, controlling what they could say, and cutting off any legal noise before it got louder. It was a move straight out of the manipulation playbook. Hand over what looks like freedom, but still keep the chains tight. And here's the kicker. Prince saw it all. Way before the public caught on, Prince had his eye on what Diddy was doing behind the curtain. If he confided even a piece of that truth to Sheila E, then no wonder she's finally speaking up now. Because the secrets Prince took to his grave, they might just be resurfacing, and the very people he tried to warn us about could finally be feeling the heat. Word is, Sheila E's been quietly telling people that Prince saw the game for what it really was, and he'd been calling it out for years. Long before it became common to speak on industry exploitation, Prince was already sounding the alarm. He warned about how artists were being used, their creativity stolen, their work hijacked by labels that promised fame but delivered shackles. He called it straight up, modern-day slavery, and he didn't stop there. He wanted to name names. Now, for a while, Sheila E kept things classy. She stayed respectful when speaking on Prince after he passed. But now, almost 10 years since his death, she's allegedly starting to open up, and her words have people raising eyebrows. It's subtle, but the message is loud. She said Prince was carrying a heavy burden, one he rarely shared, and insiders close to Sheila E have been hinting for a long time that Prince confided in her, not just about his battles, but about what he saw coming for the entire music game. See, Prince wasn't just fighting for his own masters. He was trying to expose a whole system built to trap artists and keep them down. He warned that some of the biggest players in the industry were out here acting like gods, controlling careers, finances, and even lives. And now, with Diddy caught up in a storm of legal trouble and shocking allegations, folks are starting to connect the dots. But here's where it gets even darker. Sources say Prince knew something was about to happen. Just days before his death, he posted a cryptic photo of himself with a now-deleted message, "Just when you thought you were safe." Let that sink in. And at his very last public appearance, a party at Paisley Park, he showed up after receiving reported treatment, looking worn, but still showing face. Days later, he was gone. Whatever he knew, whatever he was about to reveal, may have died with him. But if Sheila E is finally starting to speak, then maybe the story Prince tried to warn us about is only just beginning to unravel. Prince once told the crowd at his final appearance, "Wait a few days before you waste any prayers." Let that sink in. Days later, just like he predicted, he was gone. At 57 years old, Prince was found unresponsive at his Minnesota estate. Authorities later ruled his death as an accidental fentanyl overdose, saying he'd unknowingly taken counterfeit Vicodin laced with a deadly synthetic opioid. But even Sheila E said that explanation never sat right with her. Not at all. She wasn't the only one who felt that way either. People who were close to Prince, fans who knew how careful he was, and those who followed his fight for truth and justice, they've all questioned what really happened. So we're asking the question again, was this just another tragic ending to a genius life? Or did something darker take place behind the scenes? Is Sheila E. finally ready to spill the truth Prince was never able to say himself? And what's Diddy's real role in all of this? Because if even half of what Prince warned about is true, then we've barely scratched the surface. How deep does this rabbit hole go? How many secrets were buried with Prince? And how many are just now rising to the surface? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Was this just coincidence, or is there something way bigger that's been hiding in plain sight all along? Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video if you want the truth to keep spreading. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got more stories that need to be heard. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.